Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going over the big boy HK. Actually, not the biggest, obviously, because there is one that's much larger than 45, as many of you know. This is the HK 45. This one here has an interesting history. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the review. Obviously, it looks very similar to the P30 for those of you who have seen that. Those of you that have seen the BP9 video that I did, it also looks pretty similar as well. Shares that extremely ergonomic grip. You certainly can't complain about that. Some of the other features of it as well. But what we're going to do now is just go ahead and keep shooting some more rounds through it, test it out, make sure it functions well as the HK should. So far, so good with it. There's been zero issues as you'd expect. And after that, we'll step inside, get into some of the details of the pistol, and then what I think of it overall. A few things you're going to notice just picking up the pistol is, number one, it's a relatively large pistol. Obviously, it's the full-size model. They do offer a compact model, though, for those of you guys looking for something a little bit smaller. Other things that are going to strike you is just the grip. Like I mentioned earlier, it's extremely ergonomic. It feels great in the hand. The texturing here gives you a good grip, as well as the finger grooves. I know some folks don't like finger grooves. However, these ones happen to fit my hands exceptionally well, so I do like them. The backstrap here is replaceable, so you can change it out for smaller or larger size hands. The finish on there is very nice, as you'd expect from HK. It's what they call, I believe they call it their hostile environment finish, which is really just a nitrided finish. Very durable, very corrosion resistant stuff, so you certainly can't complain about that. We have the serrations up front here for those of you guys that like to do press checks, as well as in the rear. One thing that's nice about this is it has a 1913 style rail for adding any sort of lights, lasers, accessories that you might want to add on there. I know some of the earlier HK models didn't have that, but this, as well as I should say the P30, the BP9, etc., all have that, and I do think it's a welcome addition to the HK lineup. Controls are going to be generally ambidextrous. The mag release here is your European style mag release, which I personally prefer, but I realize the majority of my audience is going to be not with me on that. However, it is ambidextrous, accessible from both sides, as is the slide release here. One thing you probably just noticed right there, some of you noticed anyway, is that with the pistol in safe, you can manipulate the slide, something that I know some pistols out there don't do. This one does it, so the slide release there is ambidextrous. Can release it from either side. It fires in both single action and double action modes. So single action is the way we have it here. Then double action mode. The double action mode on this one is definitely not good. I don't know how to say it. It's not very smooth. It's got a lot of creep in it. You can kind of see it kind of herky-jerky there as I'm going through it. And it's not that heavy, but it's certainly not smooth at all. The single action, though, is very nice, especially for an HK. HKs have gotten a reputation over the years as being exceptional guns with so-so triggers. Certainly on this one, it is much better than a lot of the previous versions. Nice light break there, right around the 5-pound mark. Good reset, positive reset, and not too much travel to break the shot. Certainly can't complain about that. To field strip the pistol, you have to first ensure that it is unloaded like you would on any pistol. You can see it is unloaded there. At this point, we're going to release the slide. And what we need to do now is line up this notch right here with the takedown lever, and you kind of pull back on it a little bit here. And what we're going to do is push through this little piece right here, get it started. As you can see there, it pushed out. Pull it out, set it aside. The slide will come right off the pistol at that point. There's a few things you're going to notice that are different about this gun and certain other guns in terms of the barrel and the recoil system. First off, you're going to notice this polymer buffer here combined with the Browning linkless recoil system. So it's a modified Browning design that we're all familiar with, and It's very reliable, and some folks say it leads to greater accuracy. It certainly may. We'll get into a couple other factors that may lead to greater accuracy as well in this pistol, but that's it. That's your field strip pistol for the majority of the time you're working on this gun. That's all you're going to have to do. Now, some of those things that may lead to greater accuracy that we'll talk about here is the barrel. First off, I believe it's 4.6 inch barrel. It's cold hammer forged, and it does have the polygonal or polygonal, depending on how you want to pronounce it, rifling. That'll lead to greater velocity, as well as some folks say greater accuracy, perhaps. But it's going to prevent you, or I should say, it shouldn't prevent you, but you need to be careful if you're going to try to shoot lead reloads through that. Just something to keep in mind there if you're looking at this pistol. Now, another thing that's going to help in the accuracy is going to be the O-ring that surrounds the barrel up front here. It's there so that way it's fitted precisely with the slide for a very, very tight barrel to slide lockup, reminiscent of 1911s. And you generally don't see that in this type of pistol, the polymer frame pistol, but it does lead to greater accuracy. I do tend to agree with that, that it certainly does. Another thing that's interesting about this design, we'll talk about here, is going to be how deep the slide rides in the frame. Now, if you take a look here, when you go to reassemble it, you can see that the slide rides into that frame a good bit. Now, some people think that leads to, again, increased accuracy, and it certainly may, because if you think about it, all that steel there on the frame is probably going to lead to less frame flex. Now, I haven't actually ran any high-speed footage of this, but it makes sense to me that it certainly may be a factor. Now, to put it back together, you just do the opposite of what we just did, and insert your barrel back in there. Make sure you want to line the recoil spring up, and does have a flat wire recoil spring, I should point out. And you just want to click this little piece in here, just like that. Make sure it's in there. And we'll put it back on the frame. And we're just going to line it up, same way we took it apart. And that's it. The pistol is reassembled. I think I left out a few things in this pistol. One of them is definitely going to be the sights here. The factory base model sights are going to be these luminescent sights. They're not night sights, but they do hold a charge. Once you hit them with some light, they will hold the charge for a good bit of time, giving some sort of luminescence. The pistol does also come in a configuration with night sights. Obviously, it's going to be an increased cost. I believe those are Meprolite night sights when they come out. And the pistol comes with 2 magazines. They're very high-quality steel magazines. They are 10 rounds, so the capacity of the pistol is 10 plus 1. Now, obviously, it's quite a large pistol, like we alluded to earlier. And that's just to give you a size comparison, since I'm sure some of you guys haven't actually handled this. Take your standard 1911 here. Let me zoom out real quick. There we go. And over 1911, you can see it's a little bit longer in the barrel, obviously being a 5-inch barrel versus the shorter one here on the HK. The HK is a little bit longer as well, which makes sense. Obviously, it's a double cap mag, and it offers 2 more rounds, so you can see that's how it compares there to 1911. One thing I should point out, actually, is that it has the same grip angle as the 1911. So your 1911 grip angle, which a lot of folks really like and think it's a very natural pointing grip angle, is present on the gun. So a lot of people out there are going to like that. Here's your Glock 20, competitor to it, obviously. You can see that the HK is slightly longer, but obviously you're going to get more capacity there with the Glock 21, excuse me. You're going to get more capacity with 13 plus 1, and the Glock's a little bit lighter as well, I do believe. And lastly, here's the M&P 45. Show you how that is. That's the longer barrel of the M&P 45. This one has the same capacity, and you can see how it stacks up there in terms of size. HK's got more buttons, obviously being a more complicated trigger system, if you will, versus the striker fired on the M&P. But your capacity on these pistols is also going to be 10 rounds for both pistols. The interesting history that I alluded to earlier is basically 2 things. Number one, the development of the pistol and the design of the pistol was influenced by a lot of folks, obviously the folks at HK, but also Larry Vickers and Ken Hackathorn, 2 gentlemen that I respect enormously for their amount of knowledge of the firearms industry, as well as they're very good shooters themselves, so they know what they're looking for in a pistol. And the pistol was also part of the Joint Combat Pistol Program, which pitted the M9 versus a bunch of different pistols that were developed specifically for that program. It's led to a lot of great pistols that we see these days out there on the market, and this just being one of them. But all in all, guys, it's an excellent pistol. In my opinion, it has 2 major downsides to it. Number one is going to be cost. If you look around right now, this is right now today's pricing. A good deal, a very good deal on this pistol is right around $1,000. The tactical version, a good deal on that is right around $1,500. So the difference between that is different barrel, but there's other differences as well. But anyway, either version is going to be extremely expensive. So it's a very expensive gun, and it also has limited capacity. You're only looking at 10+1 capacity. Now, a lot of folks think that's not an issue at all. You're talking about 45 caliber, and you have 11 rounds, so certainly for most situations you'll be just fine. But compared to some of the other options out there, like the FNP or even the Glock 21 that we showed earlier, you're giving up a few rounds. So is it a huge deal? I don't know. Maybe it is to you, but those are the downsides of the pistol, at least as I see it. The trigger's great compared to the old USPs, in my opinion, so definitely an improvement there. The ergonomics are much better, updated rail. A lot of things are much better in this pistol. I really, really like this pistol, and it has a proven history. I mean, there's been documented tests that have shown this pistol to go tens of thousands of rounds without any major parts breakages and very minimal failures. So it's a proven pistol. I would have no problem. In fact, it would be near the top of my list of pistols, especially from HK, that I would sort of go to war with, if you will. I feel extremely confident with it because it's a reliable, durable, accurate pistol. No getting around it. Is it worth the price? I mean, that's kind of the decision point, I think, here. But like I said, great pistol, guys. If you have any questions about anything I didn't cover here in the review, feel free to post below in the comment section like always. You can also post over at my Facebook page. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope I answered some of your questions, and I hope to see you in the next video.